What's your favorite guy?
You may have noticed that I'm not all there myself. Goodness, if the people here are like that,
What you're gonna wear for your wedding
just
day?
try not to upset them.
To have a constant battle between yourself and your mind is exhausting as is. But when your mind has decided to struggle with multiple things, the battle only becomes harder. By the end, you will become stronger. According to the University of Minnesota, anxiety and depression is the two most common mental health concerns. They are not the same thing, but often come hand in hand. Let me introduce Liliana Olson, a sophomore in Lakeville. Please welcome Lily.
Do you ever just feel quiet? Even when someone is talking to you, it's muted, like you're submerged in water. Submerged, constantly trying to at least touch the surface. Constantly trying to grasp hold of something. Anything to lift you up out of this hole. This hole that consumes your being. It becomes your way of life, the air you breathe. The past year of my life, I've been in this hole. This repetitive sequence of finally feeling somewhat better, only to be pulled back down into the nothingness, the pain and the feeling of worthlessness. This is what depression feels like. I'm Liliana Olson, and this is my story. It started with a fall, a simple slip on the ice. I fell and hit the back of my head, causing a chemical imbalance. Basically, it messed up my brain so much that I went from a normal, happy-go-lucky girl to this person that I never wanted myself to be. I holed myself up in my room, in the dark, wishing that everything would just go away. I wanted to be normal again, believe me, I did. I wanted to grasp onto that hold, that security, and pull myself up out of this quietness that I had surrounded myself with. On the outside, I was virtually the same. No one would notice that on the inside I was screaming, "I'm not fine, I'm not great, I'm not okay." I felt like I was walking around in a fog, just going through the motions in hopes that I'd somehow feel okay again. I got in more fights with my parents and my dean that year than I had in my entire lifetime. They just don't get it, I thought. They didn't get what it was like to feel empty, to feel hazy, and all because of that chemical imbalance. It got worse over time. On top of that hole, there was also the feeling of dread, dread of what was coming the next day, the next hour even. Anxiety is defined in the dictionary as a state of apprehension and psychic tension occurring in some forms of mental disorder. My doctors decided that this chemical imbalance had also caused severe anxiety. Well, it didn't help that my grades were slipping either. B's to C's, C's to D's, D's to F's. In every single one of my classes. My slow fall from grace had only just begun. My parents were contacted daily about my absence in classes. What they didn't know is that I simply did not want to be there. I didn't want to be around people in general. I wanted to be alone, wallowing in my own self-pity and my own self-destruction. You caused all of this for yourself, I thought. This is all your fault. I was sinking deeper, deeper into the hole of anxiety and depression, deeper into that hole that sometimes I didn't think I was ever going to be able to get out of. I was a sad case, really. A promising young girl turned into an instrument for her own destruction. What's even more sad is that my story isn't unusual or out of the ordinary. I'm just one of the many, many young girls today who has to go through this quietness every waking moment of their lives. Most girls just don't get help. They feel like they can't. I want to tell you that you can get help. You can reach out and take hold of that ledge. Take hold of that firm grip that is waiting for you. Someone is always waiting to help you, to save you. There will always be someone to talk to, whether it's your school counselor, a friend, or even your parents. When I finally unloaded my stress, my depression, and my anxiety onto my doctor, I felt so much better than I had ever had since the chemical imbalance had occurred. I finally went back to normal. Well, as normal as I usually am. I felt so much better. I felt less quiet and less like I was going to throw myself off a cliff. You never fully recover from having depression and anxiety, but it does get better. Don't hide yourself. Don't make a home for yourself down in that hole. You can make it.
In Wonderland, there are two characters that come hand in hand, kind of like depression and anxiety. When the brand above and beyond, let me introduce you to Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Tweedledum and Tweedledee agree to have a battle, for Tweedledum said Tweedledee had spoiled his nice new rattle. Just then flew down a monstrous crow, as black as tar barrel, which frightened both of the heroes so, they quite forgot their battle. tainted and mocked. Beauty cannot be defined, but rather seen, not physically, of course, but through the soul. Did you know that your outward appearance is simply the reflection of your soul and how you want others to perceive yourself? In which case, taking care of yourself is very important, physically and mentally. Let me introduce Bobby Lynn, and she will explain her story of loving herself and her beautiful spirit taking over her entire body.